to a whole new episode of your program Culture Magazine. Allow me to be your guide through a journey of diverse segments from culture, heritage, traditional and artistic works. And now, ladies and gentlemen, let's start our episode. The Cairo Opera House is the cultural lighthouse of the Middle East. It presents serious arts and an address of Egypt's artistic and cultural identity, exporting a lofty image of our dear Egypt and exposing this nation to a diverse range of cultural exchange. On the occasion of the centenary of the international Italian composer Puccini, a celebration was held performed by the stars of the Cairo Opera Company under the supervision of its artistic director Dr. Dalia Farouk, accompanied by the pianist Greg Martin and directed by Rania Gamel.
Tonight we celebrate the centennial of Giacomo Puccini, the greatest Italian opera composer, and for me he's my favorite. I've sung many operas by several composers, but tonight is Puccini's night, Puccini's celebration. We chose the highlights of his works, and they are very, very close to our hearts and also to the audiences. So to the audience's hearts. So tonight it is a special night for me and for the audience as well. We chose from his most loved operas: Tosca, La Bohème, Madama Butterfly, Le Villi, Gianni Schicchi, and others. So we are very happy to celebrate this tonight, and in the whole world, by the way, all the opera houses, they celebrate Puccini this year. For tonight, as we are performing only arias and duets, and also there is a quartet, so most of them are performed, but there are maybe a few ones, very few ones, like La Fanciulla del West. But as we are doing tonight, we are only performing highlights. So some of them has been sung, but in different approach. But part of our celebration in Cairo Opera House is going to be two operas that are performed in Egypt and in the Middle East and in Cairo Opera House for the first time, celebrating Puccini, which are Gianni Schicchi and Suor Angelica. We are performing the whole operas in January, and we are very happy to perform them, and they are very different, both of them. I mean, they have a great contrast. Suor Angelica is very dramatic. It has a great depth of emotions, and Gianni Schicchi is very comic and very light. And they are one-act operas. They are performed in the same night. Usually in the whole world they perform both operas with a third one, and they call it Il Trittico, the three operas together. But in Egypt here we chose only those. They are they will be easier for the Egyptian audience, and they are usually as well performed together in the whole world. Those two, they are more interesting, if we can say. Their music is more interesting, more attractive. So those are truly performed in Puccini's celebration for the first time in Egypt, Cairo Opera House, and in the Arab world. Concerning Puccini or in general? In general, I perform all kinds of singing, from Baroque until the contemporary music and also musical theater. The closest to my heart is the Verismo school, which is Puccini as a composer, and the Italian singing. I can tell I prefer also French music. Part of my trips for my graduate studies abroad was in France. So I was lucky to learn how to perform French music in France for more than 5 years. So I'm really lucky to have this. But I prefer Puccini in opera, and in the other genre, if we can say, of singing, the art songs, I prefer the French melodies, what we call mélodie française. They are songs that are music that is put into the poetry that is put into music. So they are all poems, has been composed with the music, and these are the art songs. They exist in all languages: German, as we call them, Lieder, and Spanish art songs, and so in all languages. So in this genre, I prefer the French melody, of course.
The program included a selection of arias from the most famous operas of Puccini, including La Boheme, Madame Butterfly, Tosca, Tornadot, and others, performed by the stars Dalia Farouk, Reda Al-Wakil, Mustafa Muhammad, Mona Rafla, Julie Faizi, Jacqueline Rafiq, Ahmed Adel, Jihan Fayed, Amr Mithat, Mustafa Mithat, Khalid Samir, and Hisham Al-Gindi. The works were accompanied by an introduction in Arabic narrated by Mustafa Mithat.
Today is because of the centennial ceremony for Puccini's. I will do the double work. The first part to be as a Puccini, as I'm doing now, for the makeup and costume. Just reviewing the history of Puccini and his works, and to describe his works and to show it to the audience. For the second part, I'll perform two arias for his operas, one from opera Turandot and the second one from the Bohème. Arias just to show the most important scene or the part for the character inside the opera itself. But for the whole opera, it's the play itself to show all the scenes and the turning events during the opera. We are so glad for that, because for many years the opera audience, it's only for the elder people or for the foreigners only. But now, because of the media and for the musicals, movies from Hollywood, that makes the youth a little bit emphasized to see the opera productions in opera house, and to see what's happening here. So we are glad for that.
It is noteworthy that Puccini is an Italian opera composer, conductor, and organist who was born in 1858 in the small town of Lucca, Italy. He faced a difficult fate as his father died tragically when he was 5 years old. He inherited his love of music from him and then learned from his uncle Furtado and joined the Milan Conservatory of Music. Among his famous works are Madame Butterfly, La Bohème, Tosca, and Tornadot.
Some of his works that is not produced in Egypt at all, like La Fanciulla del West or Turandot or Gianni Schicchi, but we will do Gianni Schicchi this season. But just we're seeing the highlights for this productions, because we are only seeing this, we are seeing only broadcasting outside from the opera house outside, but not in Egypt. So we took the advantage to show some parts of this in order to show to the people.
In our program, we're always keen to shed the light on the culture and heritage works, so let's watch our next segment. The Cairo Opera House presented the ballet 1001 Nights by the Cairo Opera Ballet Company, directed by its artistic director Erminia Kemel, with the participation of the Cairo Opera Company, accompanied by the Cairo Opera Orchestra, led by the great conductor Nader Abbasi.
This ballet has been performed already in 2007, and I had the idea to bring it again on the stage because it was very successful, and personally I like very much the choreography of Nahela Nazirova, the music of Fikret Amirov, a very famous composer of Azerbaijan, and the costume and decor also by a great designer of Azerbaijan. And this time we have the honor to have Nader Abbasi conducting the music, the performance. And yes, the first part, it tells the story of Shahrayar, that is betrayed by his beloved wife Nurida, and he decides to kill her and to kill all the women of his kingdom. Arrives Sherazad and begs him to review his idea. And she starts to tell him stories to let him interested night by night until he's forgetting his anger and all the problem that he had with his beloved wife. And he swear eternal love to Sherazad, and they live forever very happy.
The ballet revolves around the famous legendary story 1001 Nights, where Sultan Shahrayar lived with his wife, whom he loved very much. When he returned from a trip, he discovered her betrayal, so he killed her and decided to kill all the women of the kingdom after marrying them, as according to him, all women are wrong. Then a girl named Shahrazad appears, who succeeded in attracting Shahrayar's attention after their marriage by telling him interesting stories without finishing them, which aroused the king's curiosity to hear the end of the story and prompted him to postpone her execution. The stories and events follow, and 1001 Nights is completed, ending with one of the most famous love stories ever.
Especially, let's speak about this ballet that has a very particular choreography, and even if it is based on classic steps, but it's treated a little bit more in an oriental way because the story needs that. And so I felt that it was a little more difficult than recreating a classic like Sleeping Beauty and Swan Lake, because the dancer has to understand a different rhythm of the music, different way of moving their body, and so I found that it was more difficult than to make Swan Lake. But of course we are used. I have all my assistant, my system, and the thing went quite well until the day of the performance.
It is worth mentioning that the Cairo Opera Ballet Company was founded in 1966 and was affiliated with the Higher Institute of Ballet, presenting its first performances in the same year, followed by many performances in many countries around the world, including Russia, Bulgaria, Yugoslavia, Germany, France, and Tunisia, and many other countries. The Cairo Opera Ballet Company became one of the companies affiliated with the Cairo Opera House in 1991, and its repertoires included a group of the most famous classical international performances such as Romeo and Juliet, Swan Lake, The Nutcracker, Giselle, Don Quixote, Hamlet, Carmina Burana, Cinderella, and many others.
You know, to conduct the orchestra for the ballet is really difficult, because the conductor has to take care about the orchestra and the result, even how to say, for the sound of the orchestra, not only the technique. In the same time, he has to give an eye always to the dancers, because they have their limit. For example, they cannot dance too fast or too slow. So Nader Abbasi was really very helpful, even if the music is quite difficult to follow for the dancer and for the orchestra. And I found that during the rehearsals we were trying to get the best from both orchestra and dancer, and I think that with his help we did it.
Well, dear viewers, we're still following up with our segments, so stay around.
The Cairo Symphony Orchestra, led by Maestro Ahmed Saidi, performs a concert entitled Rodrigo, the Spirit of Spain, on the Grand Theatre stage at the Cairo Opera House. The concert features soprano soloist Delia Farouk and Spanish guitarist Jose Luis Marsilias, and comes as part of the commemoration of the 25th anniversary of the death of Spanish composer Joaquin Rodrigo. The concert program includes 4 madrigals for love, a type of singing intercepted with interludes, dances, and group singing for soprano and orchestra. It included Fantasia to a Gentleman for guitar and orchestra. The program also includes Symphony 1 by Beethoven. Joaquin Rodrigo was born in 1901 in Valencia, Spain, and lost his sight at the age of 3 due to an injury. He began learning music at an early age as he studied piano at the age of 8 and composition at the age of 16 and became worldwide famous. In his works in which he introduced the Spanish guitar, he wrote his melodies in Braille for later publication. Rodrigo studied music under Francisco Antic in Valencia and then in Paris under Paul Duca. He won the Spanish National Prize in 1925 for his work, The Five Children's Pieces. He became a professor of music history at the University of Madrid in 1947. His most famous work is the Concerto de Arnigas, composed in Paris in 1939, a distinctive work for guitar and orchestra. It was considered a pinnacle of Spanish music and one of the references for guitar concertos. Rodrigo has received numerous honors, including the title of Marquess de los Jardins de Arnigas for King Juan Carlos in 1991 and the Order of the Prince Asturias Award in 1996. He died in Madrid in 1999 at the age of 97.
Well, dear viewers, that's all for today's episode. See you next week with more diverse segments. Until then, it's goodbye.